All right, everybody's favorite inequalities. Okay, we're going to solve for C. So we're going to draw our river and we're focusing on this side of the inequality since that's where my variable is. And I know that this really means negative 0.05 times C. And so I have to ask myself, how do I get rid of times? What's the opposite of multiplication? And it would be division. So what do we divide? Well, we divide by the number we're trying to get rid of, which is negative 0.05. You have to write the entire number, including the sign, otherwise it's not going to completely cancel out. Okay, whatever we do on this side, we also do the exact same thing on the other side. So negative 0.05 divided by itself cancels out. So I'm left with C. And then I need to come over here and do the work here. And this is where most of y'all messed up because you didn't really work it out. So I'm going to come over here where I have some room. I'm going to set up my division house. The first number or top number always makes it inside. I'm not going to worry about the signs until the end. And then the bottom number, or the last number, gets stuck outside the house. Okay, so at this point, I need just to go back to elementary school and remind myself, how do I divide by a decimal? Well, I need to bump that decimal over so that it's at the end of the number. So that means I'm going to bump it over not once, but twice. And whatever I do on the outside, I have to do the exact same thing on the inside. So I bump it over not once, but twice. Okay, so what do I need to put in this empty space? A 0. And my decimal comes straight up. All right, now I'm ready to rock and roll. Okay, 5 doesn't go into 1, but 5 goes into 12 two times. 2 times 5 is 10. I subtract, I get 2, I bring down my 0, and 5 goes into 24 times, and that works out, and I'm done. So my answer is 24, and now I ask myself, is it positive or is it negative? Well, if the signs are the same, your answer is going to be positive. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. Okay, so at this point, I know that I'm going to have 24, and I got to figure out what kind of dot and what kind of arrow. So the other place where a lot of people messed up is just remembering that if you divide or multiply both sides by a negative number, your symbol has to flip. So we would have an open dot and it would be pointing in this direction. Okay, at this point we're ready for our check, and as I always say, you don't ever want to choose the dot, the number at the dot place for your check. You want to choose a number that's on your arrow. Okay, so you know me, I always like to do the easiest thing. If this arrow is eventually going to hit 0, by George, I'm using 0. I don't know who George is, but he would want you to use 0 too. Okay, so let's just do it. Well, the nice thing about 0 is if you multiply 0 by anything, you get 0. This little arrow here just means to simply bring that bad boy down. And now you ask yourself, is this a true statement? Is 0 greater than negative 1.2? Yeah, last time I checked. So chances are I'm right. It's not as foolproof and certain as an equation is, but you've got a pretty good chance that it's right if your check works out. And so your answer would have been C is less than, there's my boyfriend, 24.